What's going on, Sputnik? Bring you guys another gameplay commentary. This is Black Desert Online, and I get this question a lot lately. I've been streaming, right? They're random streams. They're not planned or premeditated or anything like that. But I've been getting questions about, you know, how to take my Sork to the next level, right? And honestly, I don't think I can answer that question. What I can do is kind of give you some suggestions on how to use the Sork's entire kit. I find that a lot of Sorks that I fight, or just Sorks that I see in open world and RBF, I have a lot of clips. I'm just very lazy to kind of go through and clip them. But what I'll do is, because some people just don't want to see me go through skills, or just players and people in general who look at videos, they don't really want to look at me or look at people just going over particular skills. They would rather the person talk and then talk over gameplay, which is fine. I've done that before, but in this case, I'll talk about some of the things I do and then go to some clips. So again, I find that a lot of, right, to play a Sork, there are a few things I think you should do like right off the jump. Learn to play Claw. There are lots of videos on YouTube. If you learn to play Claw, playing Sork becomes a lot easier, right? That's one. And it's mainly because it allows you to use your, keep your left and right analog stick active at all times, and never really having to move your thumbs off of that left and right analog stick, right? So look up Claw, look up a Call of Duty video, Google it. So that's one thing I would suggest, right? The other thing I would suggest is, and this is, even for experienced Sorks, use the kits, use the Sork's entire kit. I find that when I see Sorks or I fight them, they use, like, they don't use the entire kit, right? They use Dream of Doom, right? They'll sometimes use blades, and that's mainly once the fight has started. They'll use blades and then cast Cry of Darkness, right? And their goal now is to get to Grim right? Grim Reaper Judgment, right? And then E-buff. The one thing I try to do when I'm playing this game is to not use any of my like E-buffs or Black Spirit Rage. I've never used Black Spirit Rage. No, I wouldn't say never. Probably once or twice. When I come to Battle Arena, I really want to put myself at a disadvantage, and then it's just common courtesy. I don't use it. But lots of players who do use it, I don't have an issue with them doing that, right? So do not limit yourself to Dream of Doom, right? To the first cast of blades, right? And then launch it, and then go into Nightcrow, right? That's one. Two, slow down. I see a lot of Sorks. They do a lot of useless movements, right? There's no reason that if you're fighting a player, there's no reason that you can't linger, right? There's still you can slightly linger your iframe. There's no reason you don't linger it. There's no reason you wait until that animation of the scythe goes a little bit down, right? That allows you to like just regen stam. Like, one of the main issues we run into is stamina management, and you can do it, but you really don't want to do it in an erratic fashion. There's a reason players don't play Succession Sork, because they don't have a neutral game. A Sork Sork has a really good neutral game, an amazing neutral game. Now, um, I think it's one of the best. I wouldn't call the perma, you know, frontal essay like 360 block like a neutral game. I know a lot of players have said that before. Nova has a really good neutral game. Valk has a really good neutral game. Um, but I don't think they do. I think it's just a matter of what the kit has, and they have a 360 block, right? You really can't open them up unless you have really good damage or they want to be aggressive. So that's one thing. Also, uh, use angles, use positioning, right? I see a lot of players when they're fighting, they're literally standing in front of the player who has a grab, and now they're waiting to react, right? They're like, I can react faster than you. I can cast my iframe a lot faster than you can grab me. PC has made a slight change where grab takes priority over an invincibility frame, right? So don't do that. There's no reason that you should be standing in front of this player. I don't know why you wouldn't be here. If you're here, it's much more of an issue for that player to focus you, right? And that gives you a better chance to be proactive, right? If I know the player is going to now try to stand in front of me, there are a lot of things I can do. And as a Sorc, you don't necessarily have to, stand in front of the player and fight them that way, right? A few skills that offer really great utility for Sorcs, because um, one of our main issues is the fact that we just don't have the range, right? Shadow Leap allows us to get away, but it just doesn't have the range to disengage, and it doesn't have the range to engage, right? So I would argue, why not use Dark Flame? Dark Flame is a skill I use often, right? The skill has a lot of utility. They've nerfed the skill and they've buffed the skill, right? In the past, the skill used to have a gap in the frontal guard, and it also used to have um, a CC, right? This used to knock you down in PvP, but it no longer does that, and they removed the gap. It's a difficult skill to cast, but I think the skill offers that utility that we lack when it comes to disengaging and engaging. So I'll use Dark Flame here. I can easily disengage, and that essentially is extended my range to disengage, right? And I can also go into this. I can go into Nightmare, etc. That's one thing. It also allows you to counter range classes because it is a frontal and it allows you to linger somewhat, right? The third thing is it doesn't cost any stamina at all, right? They've made a slight nerf to Sorc. The fact that, well, in the past we used to be able to reach and stam when we use Shadow Leap, but that's no longer the case. It pauses the regeneration of stamina. And so that was a slight nerf. I don't think it's a big deal if you're a player that can manage your stam, but there are lots of players that I see can't do it. And this is just specifically about Sorcs. So Dark Flame, right, allows you to manage your stam, right? It's a frontal. Even if players are blowing up your frontal, I use this against a lot of players. Yes, I might have a bit more gear than most people, but I find that I had better frontal guards prior to the rework. Now, 2 hits and my frontal guard is gone, but I'll take those 2 hits because I can move behind it, right? I'm not standing in front of the player. I'm doing a bunch of things. So like these are some of the things that I think you should do. Another thing is I don't see a lot of players right? You get a free cancel of Blade of Darkness when you go from pre-awaken to awaken, right? Cancel it, right? And this stays on the field for a while, right? You can play around this, right? I think it's an amazing skill, right? And if you can couple this skill with Dark Flame, you can play around it, and this can really change the way you play, the way you play the game, right? It extends your range, right? So you'll be here with a player, right? Cast Blade of Darkness, and then you cast this Cry of Darkness, and then turn back slash. This is a catch that I use often. And yes, some elements of that is unprotected, but players are not keen, especially when you're in open world, to catch those types of things. And if you position yourself in the right spot, right, you're able to not get caught and still be unprotected and catch the CC, right? This class is a high risk, high reward class, and you have to be able to do those things, right? So again, use your full kit, slow down. Sorks are not, well, to me at least, from what I've seen and what I've noticed, it's a timing class, right? It's not, like to me, I don't think it's similar to Ninja, right? Ninja is a very fast, explosive class. Sork is a class that can wait and see, can play the neutral game, can be very aggressive. It's a passive aggressive class. It can counterpunch. It can lock down a lot of mistakes that players have, right? And so you want to take it easy, right? I don't have to cast blades right away. I can wait until that animation slows down. I can do a lot of things, right? You don't have to be like, as if you're on caffeine 24/7, right? Take a break, slow it down, right? Don't be aggressive when you don't need to be. And I think that will, change the dynamics of, how you play. Other thing is, it's a waste of time going for any other core besides Grim. Violation is a frontal. This is a catch, right? If you place this the correct way, you have zero issues. Will you get caught a few times? Yes, but violation is all about placement. Dead Hunt, right? It's a stationary skill. That's a frontal guard skill. I don't even use this skill anymore. And it doesn't take any stamp because of how the game has changed, right? You have to get in, burst players down, and finish them, right? In BA, you can do as many fancy skills as you want when it comes to combos, but in open world, that's not going to fly. So I don't think this is useful. It might be useful in PvE, but this is a PvP kind of breakdown. Turn back slash, again, if you put super armor and turn back slash, you've essentially you've crippled the skill, right? You want to use the skill because you're getting caught when you use it, and that has to do with placement, right? That has to do with placement. If you place the skill correctly, you will not get caught and you will catch them. They've done a lot of things with this skill. They've increased the range of the skill, so you can be really outside the player's range and still catch them, right? They've increased it. Look where you are in relations to this person. I think you can even cast it here, right? And you won't get caught. You just need to make sure that you cancel it, right? Do not let the full animation roll out, or else you'll be in trouble. Other thing is swirling. Like, I would think this would be a good because it'll add float, and it's a protected skill. But Flow of Darkness is too good in open world when it comes to combos, right? It's a finisher to me, right? Once you go, you see them, you don't have the luxury to land a follow-up unless it's protected. So that's why, I usually go to Grim Reaper. And then I start the RNG game, right? I've added 15% chance to down smash the target. This already has a 30% chance to down smash, right? Then Soul Reaper has another passive that's a down smash. It's another 30%. Added 15% on the add-on. So that's a total of 45% chance. And that's where you start to get into these extensions, not just in RBF, not RBF, well, RBF as well, not just in BA, but you also get it in open world because it's fully protected. But you're a Sorc, even if you're an SA, players will blow you up. So you have to be very careful on how you approach these things, right? Cartions. Players, they stand behind this skill. I use this skill not as a way to catch players, but if it happens, then great, right? When I use this skill, and a lot of players don't do that, I use this skill as a way to kind of bait players out, and I never really stand in front of any player, right? So I keep these things in mind, and I think just me personally, right? People might have differing opinions about how they play Sorc, but this is me personally. I don't claim to be the best Sorc, nor do I claim to have all the answers about this game and how you should or shouldn't play. These are just suggestions, right? I ran into a ranger who's a new ranger the other day, and I said, yeah. He says he's new. I said, yeah, we can just we can work a movement. I found out that the player keeps going backwards, and that's a tell. So I said, start moving around in circles, right? It'll make oh, last thing, go DR, right? Go DR. I think a Sorc has too much in its kit to not have to go evasion. Now, evasion is really good, right? Especially when you have high gear score. This is something I'm already testing because I had to go evasion on my tag grinder, which is a striker. I have enough Kaffir stones to C9 pretty much, maybe 2 other gear. I have enough in case they come out with C20, which I don't think they will, to make my my gloves and my shoes C20, right? So this is something I'll be testing just to see how it works. And then maybe I'll get back to you guys on this. Someone told me this works and, I'll test it. But I personally like the high damage. That's why I went with just all damage, everything crit, right? The only thing I didn't go with high damage is here. I think you kind of counter that minus for DR that you get from, well, -8 actually, right? From distortions, right? You lose -4 damage reduction and -4 here, so it's 8, and I'm kind of like countering that with +6, so it's only a -2. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. Anyway, I'm out.